Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Welcome. So how was your Liberation Day yesterday? Did it go well? I feel so much liberated, so much more liberated. Don't you? I think this is going to be fun. Stocks took a little bit of a hit. Did they recover at all from the 800-point drop?
I don't know where they ended up.
Look later on.
Already down 1,000 in early trading today.
Are they now?
I did hear that driving in.
Yeah. Some initial pain probably going to occur and have to be endured. But the tariffs are in effect now. And so they didn't get the delay that they've been having the last few times. I will say this, though. People are coming to the table all of a sudden. It's kind of interesting. Here's President Trump discussing tariffs in the 80s. Or this was him in the 80s, right? Correct. Yeah. I don't know if I put that correctly. Back in the 80s, here's what he had to say.
And yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And, hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country. Kuwait, they live like kings. The poorest person in Kuwait, they live like kings. And yet they're not paying. We make it possible for them to sell their oil. Why aren't they paying us 25% of what they're making? It's a joke.
Yep. I mean, this has been brewing in him for a long time. This is something he feels and has always felt really strongly about. It's nothing new for Donald Trump to be talking tariffs. So that's pretty interesting. President Trump also told a story of dealing with Japan.
Yeah, this is
real. Our allies have taken advantage of us more so than our enemies. Our allies are the European Union. We have a trade deficit of $300 billion with the European Union. Our allies are Japan. You know, Abe was a very good friend of mine. He was a great guy, great. And I said to him in Japan, he was assassinated, and he was a great man. He really was. I didn't see too many like him. And he got very sick, and he had to take off. And then he was actually making a comeback. He was going to make a comeback, and he would have won easily. But he was a great gentleman, handsome, wonderful man, respected by everybody. And I went to him, and I said, Shinzo, we have to talk. What? Trade. And he goes, I'll never forget it. I know. I said, what do you know? I knew you'd come to me. Why do you say that? Because I can't believe, I wouldn't tell the story if he was alive, actually. I said, I can't believe how many years it's been that nobody even negotiated with us in America.
That's the thing.
I said, Shinzo, you have to pay for your cars. You're sending millions of cars. You don't accept a car from us. You don't have one car that you accept, and yet we're selling 3 million, 4 million of your cars. I said, Shinzo, on agriculture, you won't even accept our agriculture. And I renegotiated the whole trade deal from a little disadvantage because I was stuck with a bad deal. I mean, I got...
Yep.
We have trade deals that were so bad that I said, who are the people that are doing it? They're either very stupid or they're getting paid off, okay? It's one or the other. It's very simple.
Yeah, it is pretty simple. You know, and yet Canada and Europe continue to whine about these tariffs and they're threatening us over and over and over with reciprocal tariffs. Well, it's too late. All these nations already have these tariffs in place. That's why Trump is assessing the tariffs on them. I want to get an expert on the show who has a comprehensive list of the tariffs we face and how long we've faced them. Caroline Levitt talked about it the other day, just a little bit. She was outside talking to reporters and they asked about the tariffs. And so she ran through a little bit of a list, like 50% tariff from the European Union on American dairy. 50%. 700% tariff on American rice from Japan. So, as he said, Japan's leader wasn't surprised that he wanted to renegotiate. 100% tariff on American agriculture products in India. 100%. Almost 300% tariff on American butter and cheese in Canada. They are not reciprocating. We are, from something we should have done decades ago to stop this. So when they say they are the ones reciprocating, they're lying. It is we who have finally taken action on this.
Yeah, we impose a 2.5% tariff on passenger vehicle imports. EU
2.5%.
Right, and EU reciprocates on our imports or exports over there. 10%. India 70%. I mean,
70%.
That's just one example. I mean, there's so much here.
Well, it makes it almost impossible to sell American goods elsewhere in the world, which again is why you see so few American cars on the road in Europe and in Asia when you're there or when you're watching a movie.
Apples enter the United States duty-free, but not so in Turkey. 60% markup there.
Oh, just 60?
India, 50%.
Okay.
Again, these are just a couple of examples. There are so many.
There's hundreds, thousands. He had this big chart yesterday that he showed. And on that chart, it says tariffs charged to the U.S., including currency manipulation and trade barriers. Okay, so they're factoring this into the equation. China assesses 67%. The U.S. discounted reciprocal tariff is now 34% on them. European Union, 39% tariff. Vietnam, 90% tariff. Taiwan, 64%. Japan, 46% overall. India, 52% overall. 50% in South Korea, 72% in Thailand. Switzerland, 61, 64 in Indonesia, Malaysia. I mean, listen to this. Cambodia charges a 67% tariff on American products. Okay.
I thought that was 97 for them. No?
Oh, no, it is. You're right.
Yeah.
It's 97%.
That was a big one.
Jeez. 97%. How
do they get away with this?
I don't know.
He's
that's
absolutely right.
How has this happened
we act
forever?
like we're the ones that need them.
Yeah, right. And we do not. It's so criminal. It's so unbalanced that it's hard to even know where to begin on it. But President Trump is beginning this way. This is how he chose to finally respond. The real question is not why he's doing it. It's why hasn't anybody else forced this issue?
Well, it's like we said, we finally have a president that loves the country.
And that's exactly right. Here he was yesterday. So we played him from the 80s, then fairly recently, here he is talking about it yesterday.
And energy costs now are down, groceries are down, gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It was really low. It was like in the 2% range. And anything around 2% is considered no inflation.
Yeah, if he had been around after the CARES Act, maybe it would have been a little different. That didn't help. The one thing, the one person that stood against that was Thomas Massey. But, of course, then Biden dumped gasoline by the bucketfuls onto that fire. Mm-hmm. But another thing that came out yesterday, private companies added 155,000 jobs in March, more than expected.
Oh, good.
That's a fun fact there.
Former Democrat talking about the Trump tariffs.
What I find so frustrating about the conversation around tariffs is that we all agree on the problem. Mm-hmm. We all agree that the deindustrialization of America led to the downward mobility of the American working class, deaths of despair, people working multiple jobs and not being able to afford the American dream. We all agree that it is deeply unfair for the American middle class to be bearing the burden of unfair tariffs from other countries. We all agree that it is great for the president to have leverage in order to demand reasonable things, like that countries stop allowing fentanyl to murder 100,000 Americans every year, and that Mexico do its part to police its own border. And yet when somebody has the courage to show up and say to Wall Street, screw you, I am waging war. I'm waging class warfare on behalf of the American working class. And you elites in Wall Street, you do what you need to do because I'm not going to stop fighting for the American working class. Suddenly, everybody is sitting around going, oh no, the stock market. Yeah, the stock market looks like that because the rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class over them. We have already seen these tariffs work, Pierce. The number of people crossing the southern border is at zero. Fentanyl is at record lows for the last 10 years. We have already seen $1.2 trillion in manufacturing invested in this country since January 21st. So they have already worked. Now, how long is Wall Street going to keep trying to punish this president for standing the American working class? I don't know, but I can tell you that the view from the street is people cannot believe that there is a president who is working for them, who is putting them first and telling Wall Street to go screw itself. Wall Street, which picked the Democrats for the last 3 election cycles in a row. That's what the real story is here.
That's a former Democrat, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with her.
I don't know who that was.
Yeah. Shrill voice, though. How'd you like to wake up to that every morning?
Okay.
No, thank you.
But good points.
But really good points. Yeah,
Really
very solid.
Good points.
So that was Pierce's show? Because it wasn't, Sank had not much to say there.
No, he was a guest.
Just a guest.
Yeah, there's like 5 guests.
Yeah,
You know how he does the whole row of people?
Yeah. Is Pierce based? He's in England right now, right? Used to be here in America when he was on CNN, but or was it MSNBC?
CNN.
One of the two. I get them mixed up. Here was Mike Johnson, our Speaker of the House, on President Trump and the economy.
You have to trust the president's instincts on the economy, okay? And why? This isn't blind faith. Remember what he accomplished in the first administration. Before COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world, not the U.S., the whole world. Every demographic was doing better because we cut taxes, we cut regulations, and we made a better economic environment for everybody to succeed. And he is going about that same plan to bring that about, and tariffs is a component of that. And we'll see how it all develops. I mean, the reciprocal tariff policy is one that makes a lot of common sense. I mean, you look at the trade disparity between many nations, and much of this began after World War II, and the rationale apparently was, well, we need to rebuild Europe, and America emerges as the great superpower, so we should have this imbalance. It's fair. This is what we need. Well, that carried on for generations, and we're well beyond World War II now, and this is a different world. It's a much more integrated, complex economy, and the president's absolutely right when he says that we have to think about America's interest first, because if we don't, we're not going to maintain our status as the great superpower. And when he says, let's have free trade and fair trade, I think the reciprocal tariff policy makes sense. If somebody has 100+% tariff on imports of U.S. goods, and we have virtually nothing, why don't we settle that balance? If we raise and match their tariff policy, I think ultimately what happens is you get back down to a free trade agreement, that these countries that are engaged in this disparity, this raw deal for Americans for so long, it'll get their attention, and they'll, I think, reduce their tariffs on us. Then you get back to a free and fair trade.
Yeah, and that should be the goal, is free trade. We haven't been experiencing that, and except on our part, we allow everybody else free trade. Yeah, okay, we're not gonna hammer your products that come in. People are going to be able to buy them, and they do. Well, the same should be true. It should be reciprocal, and especially we're hearing, "Oh, you're doing this to our allies." Well, yeah, they've been doing it to us, and it's working. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said yesterday on CNBC's Squawk Box that if President Trump removes the tariffs, Canada will drop all of their tariffs.
What?
What a concept! Hey, you treat us fairly, we'll treat you fairly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I did a live stream last night, and shout out to Fred Bell for all of your on-the-fly research, sir. My only problem with the tariffs thing hasn't been the principle, it's been that it feels like a violation of the USMCA. We made this deal. Trump signed the deal in 2020. It doesn't expire until July 1st of 2026. And so I said, somebody find me violations. Where did Canada and Mexico violate this agreement so that I can, with a clear conscience, say, whatever, go do whatever tariffs you want? And he found them. Fred Bell found these cases where Mexico was charging us too much on energy. Canada was overinflating
everything.
I think it was dairy. I think it's always
definitely
dairy with them.
It's 300% on dairy.
Right, but I'm saying in specific violation of this trade agreement. And so a case can definitely be made. A lot of great listeners were running it through Grok last night. So a case can be made, and they've won. The U.S. has won these disagreements, these complaints, these official complaints of violations to the USMCA. So you could make a case that it's been violated by both Mexico and Canada. So game on.
Doesn't surprise you?
Let's go.
Doesn't surprise me in the least. Of course it's been violated. They don't care because nobody's ever held them accountable. That's the thing. If you're never held accountable for your actions, you're just going to continue in those actions. Why wouldn't you? And so they have, and they do.
And that's why the world hates him.
That's why we're here.
That's why they hate Donald Trump so much.
Because how dare he?
He sticks up for this country.
Yeah, he really does.
And that's another reason why Democrats hate him, too.
And I don't know any other way to level this playing field than what he's doing. That's why, it's hard to overlook free trade policies. But I don't know how else you get there. Because it's been so unbalanced for a century that this seems to be our only recourse now.
And does anybody doubt that there's going to be short-term pain? We're the most impatient people ever.
Right.
And of course there's going to be short-term pain. But, maybe you get rid of some no tax on tips. We heard that one, huh?
Yeah.
No tax on under $150,000. We've heard that one. You start affecting that, bringing those taxes down.
It's going to make a big difference.
Then once prices level off, once the rest of the world realizes Trump's absolutely serious about these tariffs, and you could have substantial cost savings, whether through taxes or tariffs. This is it's so bold, it's exciting, and I'm looking forward to see where this goes.
Also, starting Monday, customers in California are being slapped with an increased sales tax. So they're doing the opposite of what we should be doing here. They're just making it worse. And then they're going to yell and scream about the tariffs making it worse. A county-wide tax hike approved in November raised prices on goods from gas to groceries by 0.25%. Why would you do that at this point? Especially on food. Almost all sales taxes are exempt when it comes to food. Most states don't tax food because it hits a real necessity and it hits the poor the hardest. But in California, they just don't care. And they approved this increase in an election in November. One disgruntled resident wrote on Facebook, "I didn't vote for this." Well, apparently you're in the minority because it passed. Another said, "There's no way people voted for this. It's California. Of course there's a way." But, they're going to experience even more pain. So 2 cities in northern Los Angeles County, Palmdale and Lancaster, have a staggering 11.25% sales tax. After residents approved the additional increase. 11.25%. Wow, that is a hefty sales tax. It's the highest tax rate of any large city in the country. Seattle used to have the highest at 10.35%. Why are you doing this at this time? You're just crushing your citizens. So the sales tax will stay in place unless voters repeal it. 75,000 people in Los Angeles County experienced homelessness in 2024. And that's what they claim this increase in sales tax is for. They're going to help the homeless. They're going to take care of the homeless now. Okay. Yeah. Watch. Watch and see if that problem gets better, worse, or about the same. You know it's going to get worse. I mean, there's just no question about that. So the foreign trade and economic practices, according to President Trump, have created a national emergency. And that's how he's doing the tariffs on his own rather than going through Congress. So we'll get into more of that coming up here in a second. But first, you've heard me talk about Patriot Mobile now for years. You probably already know that they've stood in the gap for every American that believes that freedom is worth fighting for. They're the real deal. Let me ask you, how have you switched yet to Patriot Mobile? How have you put this off so long? If the answer is no, you've not switched, then I have to ask why. Are you worried about coverage maybe? Don't be. Patriot Mobile is one of the few cell phone service providers that operates on all three of the major networks. The fact is, if you have cell service in this country today, you can get exceptional or even better service with Patriot Mobile. That's why they offer a coverage guarantee that others just can't. Or maybe you haven't joined Patriot Mobile because you think making the switch is painful. It's not. In fact, it's really pretty easy. No need to spend hours in a retail store waiting your turn. You just call Patriot Mobile's 100% U.S.-based team, and you do that from the comfort and privacy of your own home or your car. Please pull over to the side of the road, though. Don't be driving while you do this. And they're going to have you activated in a matter of minutes. If you're still locked into a contract, that's not a problem either. Patriot Mobile's contract buyout program covers up to $500 per device. So you can keep your same number if you want, you can keep your phone if you want, or you can treat yourself to an upgrade. Either way, they can make it work for you. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to join Patriot Mobile today. Support faith, family, and freedom, and every call and text you make. Don't wait, do it now. PatriotMobile.com/Pat, or you can call 972-PATRIOT. You'll get a free month of service with your activation right now. That's PatriotMobile.com/Pat or 972-PATRIOT.
Now, more Pat Gray Unleashed.
So, yes, the pain has started already. We've got some issues in the stock market. Gas prices went up a little bit. I don't know if that's a result of any of the things that have been enacted. I don't see how it could have happened that quickly, but
I think it's that new blends and stuff.
Yeah, and that kicks in every spring, happens every year. And, you know, with Memorial Day not too far away, the prices always go up, but it's gone up a bit. Egg prices have come way down. So that's happened already. I don't know. Can we have the patience? Can we have the endurance to be able to stick it out and, you know, wait for a better outcome down the road?
And that's going to be the key, right?
Yeah.
And that's another good reason why you don't want to wait till July 1st of 2026 for the USMCA to expire. Because if you are going to have a short-term pain, you'd hate to have that on the eve of an election season. Start it now, and hopefully by next election cycle, it's better.
Because things need to be better for the next election cycle. You don't want to learn, even though it's just a very slim majority, we got to keep that. You got to keep it. Otherwise, if Democrats gain control of the House or the Senate, they're going to throw it into chaos.
I will say some good news out of Wisconsin, even though the Supreme Court election did not go the way we wanted it. Voters overwhelmingly support voter ID in Wisconsin now, which will only help come election time.
It's amazing how many voters in how many localities, like virtually all of them. We all support voter ID. I don't know anybody who says, no, nobody should ever have to show an identification when they go to vote.
Oh. That would be House Minority Leader.
Well, okay, Hakeem Jeffries. He might be one of the exceptions. Yeah. Listen to this.
In that referendum in Wisconsin, then you should have brought the SAVE Act, which is a voter suppression bill.
Voter ID.
That we strongly oppose to the floor.
Voter suppression, this guy.
This week. You could have done it.
Good Gosh.
Could have done it today. Could do it tomorrow. We dare you to bring the SAVE Act to the floor. We'll have that discussion. That's voter suppression.
No, it isn't.
Isn't that something? Still doing it.
Of course. It's like we talked about yesterday. They just keep repeating the same old lie. And a lot of these lemmings on their side believe it. But here's the thing. Minorities don't even believe it. 80% of blacks support showing your ID. 80% say that's not an issue. Why are we making it one? Well, because it helps them maintain what little power they still have.
How offensive.
It's pathetic. It's racist. Mm-hmm. It's ugly. And it works for them, I guess.
Well, I mean, what did Biden say? Like, minorities basically don't know how to get on the internet.
Yeah, they couldn't find the DMV. They don't know how to get on the internet.
Right.
I don't know how he had any support with minorities.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Boy.
You miss him yet?
Never.
No? Really?
That's going to be a never on that one. And there's a great story.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
We're going to get a story later. Behind the scenes of the Biden-Harris
You talking about Ron Klain?
No.
His chief of staff? Hopefully it's a separate story, because then we got a couple of things to share.
Mine's about a book coming out.
Okay.
And it's exactly how we said it was happening behind the scenes. No, I'm not familiar with the Ron Klain.
Exactly. I mean, even Ron Klain has admitted that we were right. Now he admits it. Where were you then?
Oh,
it's
so
despicable.
Right about Biden's brain?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
Does it involve this might have come from the book you're referencing. It might be the same thing.
The author is Alan.
Is he talking about the debate? Is there a mention of that? Yeah, because that's Ron Klain giving him that information. Ron Klain was his chief of staff, so incredibly close to Biden the whole time. He saw him, behind the scenes. He saw him in front of the scenes, behind the scenes, beside the scenes. He was there the whole time. So
no, I'm seeing what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I think this is two different books.
Okay,
because Chris Whipple, that's an author I'm familiar with. That's not the book I'm talking about. So there's two different books. And we knew these books were coming.
Oh, sure,
we knew the avalanche. It's a race to the printer at this point.
And it's fascinating to me because how are you looking good in this? Isn't the natural thought process, why didn't you say it back then, you traitorous bastard? Do you care about this country at all?
No, that's the thing.
It's amazing.
They hate Trump more than they love America.
Yes.
And, of course, that doesn't take a lot of hate for Trump because they don't love America. But the point is, they just love the power.
Yeah.
And he was the vessel that made it happen for them.
Do you guys also have the issue where fluorescent tape was put on the floor for Biden?
Oh yeah, did we talk about that, or was that off the air?
Was that overtime, or was that?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, we'll tell you about that as well. Hilarious tweet though from Kyrsten Cinema yesterday during Cory Booker's 25-hour rant.
Yeah, where she says, "Can you read that?"
Is it
the very top line from her? It says, "I guess that Jim Crow's not a relic after all." Maybe Jim Crow. I can't see it. Somebody read it in my ear.
Maybe it isn't Jim Crow. A Jim Crow relic after all.
Yeah, because remember they gave her so much crap because she wanted the filibuster to remain, and the Democrats in her own party said, "No way, that's a Jim Crow relic." And Booker goes on for over 24 hours, and then she makes this awesome tweet saying that, interesting. We got to talk about Cory Booker. He lit one of his staff members around security during his ahead of his stupid 25-hour rant, and the guy had a gun illegally in the Capitol. And he got through because Booker let him around security. So I don't know if Booker was anticipating some sort of violence against him during his stupid rant where he was using Depends or what. I don't know what his deal was.
The rules just don't apply to him.
Don't apply to him.
They don't apply to him.
Yep.
You know that's a fact. 888-900-3393.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
tweets for you. Bovine Scatology tweets, how can reciprocals suddenly plunge the world into chaos? Isn't that the epitome of equity? Yeah, it is.
And it really, a lot of these, they don't go into effect for a couple of days, so everybody needs to chill out.
Yeah.
April 5th, April 9th.
I think the auto thing, does that happen today? I think the 25% tariff on automobiles, not built here, goes into effect. Gender McGenderface, who is the 8-foot... I was wondering the same thing. Who is the 8-foot tall guy behind Mike Johnson? Does he represent the Philistines?
Oh, nice. Well done. Let's see. I'm going to look up.
I had the same thought. Look at the size of that guy.
Tallest congressman. 6'11". If this is him.
Wow.
Is that Tom McMillan?
Is Tom McMillan Republican? Yeah, he's the guy who he won in California. Is that right?
Looks like Maryland, maybe?
Maryland?
I don't know.
Okay. It's not the same one.
Maryland's 4th District. No, Tom McMillan was in the 90s. So I don't know who that is.
Oh. I don't either, but he's very tall. Very tall. How's the weather up there? I bet he's never heard that question.
It's snowing.
Try that on him. Try it. Unrepentant thought criminal. Los Angeles County is going to create more homelessness via a tax claimed to help the homeless. Yeah, that's what happens every single time.
Let's see here.
It's so counterintuitive too, and they just keep doing it.
Okay, Chris, who is the guy?
That is Kansas Republican Representative Derek Schmid.
Okay.
Schmidt, probably. Is there a T after the D?
Is that M-I-D-T at the end?
Yeah. Schmidt.
Grok's not helping me with this, so I guess I have to trust Chris Grok.
So we're looking at, does it say how tall he is? He's got to be at least 6'8".
I just put
6'8",
Mike Johnson's
6'9".
press conference, and he's the first person to come up in the back.
I mean, Mike Johnson looks like a midget in comparison. he's head and shoulders above him. Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Keep an eye on that guy.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. If he gets a sword and a shield and starts yelling about, I want to face your champion, then you know we're in trouble. It is. The Philistines are coming. Reporter and author Jonathan Allen said on Tuesday that former President Barack Obama was working against VP Kamala Harris after President Joe Biden dropped out, advocating for an open primary because he didn't think Harris could win. Yeah, we said this at the time.
Yep.
We speculated that was the case.
Took him 5 days to get on board.
Obama absolutely did not think Joe Biden should continue, according to sources close to Obama. And he also didn't want Kamala Harris to be the replacement for Biden. Mm-hmm. He didn't think that she was the best choice for Democrats. Turned out he was right on that, right? Mm-hmm. Of course, I don't know if anybody would have beaten Trump this time. And he worked really hard behind the scenes for a long time to try to have a mini primary or an open conversation or a mini primary leading to an open conversation, but he did not have faith in her ability to win the election. Allen, a senior politics reporter at NBC News, and Amy Parnes, a senior political correspondent for The Hill, joined MSNBC to talk about their new book. It's called Fight! Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House. As it turned out, she didn't win, but he was really working against her, according to Allen. He also said Obama was not willing to endorse Harris when he talked to the vice president on the day Biden dropped out. Right? And he didn't that day, right?
Correct. He did not.
It was later.
Yeah, it was.
Was that the 5 days?
Yes.
Yeah, 5 days later. Obama and Michelle did eventually endorse, but their support came, 5 days after, which is what we were talking about.
This is interesting. This next thing about Clyburn.
In one moment, he had set up a phone call with Congressman James Clyburn from South Carolina on the day that Biden handed off the baton to Kamala Harris. And Obama had set up a call with Clyburn for like 5:30 that afternoon. Clyburn thought to himself, this guy is going to try to rope me into the open conversation thing. Uh-oh. I better get my endorsement of Harris out there fast, so this is a short conversation. Wow.
Oh, I mean, they were in chaos. Because remember, at the time, when that news broke, It was on a Sunday morning. Biden's letter gets out there, and an hour later, he tweets out his support for Kamala Harris. And we were saying, oh, so KJP has control of the Biden Twitter account. Therefore, KJP just endorsed Kamala Harris and is really the one in charge of the Democrat Party, not Barack Obama.
So according to the book, Biden repeatedly urged Harris not to break with him publicly on his administration's policies. But the day of the debate, Biden called to give Harris an unusual kind of pep talk and another reminder about the loyalty he demanded. No longer able to defend his own record, he expected Harris to protect his legacy. Whether she won or lost the election, he thought she would only harm him by publicly distancing herself from him, especially during a debate that would be watched by millions of Americans. To the extent that she wanted to forge her own path, Biden had no interest in giving her room to do so. It's so great to see the behind-the-scenes stuff on this when we, after we speculated on it so much, and then for it to be confirmed, kind of satisfying, really. Biden told Harris, no daylight, kid. In other words, don't let anything get between them. She had to be right on board with all of his garbage. This is fascinating because that is separate from the Ron Klain thing. Ron Klain is a Democrat political operative. He was Biden's chief of staff during the first half of his term in office. So he just went on the record with Craig Whipple, the author of the forthcoming Uncharted, How Trump Beat Biden, Harris, and the Odds in the Wildest Campaign in History, that he was unsettled by Biden's condition before. Oh, so Ron Klain was unsettled by his condition before, during, and after his disastrous debate.
Wow.
And they lied about it the whole time. According to Klain, it turned out that Biden didn't know what Trump had been saying during the debate. He couldn't understand his words. If you remember, Trump was speaking English that night. But he couldn't grasp the back and forth between the two. And that was pretty obvious, if you remember how lost he was during that debate. So Klain says he left his preparation and he fell asleep by the pool on the lead up to the debate.
Wow.
He was obsessed about foreign leaders, saying, these guys say I'm doing a great job as president, so I must be a great president.
Oh, my gosh.
How weird is that?
For their countries, yeah, you were.
Yeah. And he, according to Ron Klain, didn't really understand what his argument was on inflation. Had nothing to say about a second term other than, I need to finish the job. At a post-debate meeting at Camp David, Klain thought to himself that he'd never seen Biden so exhausted and out of it, even musing that he seemed unaware of what was happening in his own campaign. Too bad nobody noticed that at the time.
How could you?
Right?
How could you?
He was so sharp and such an excellent communicator that you would never guess there was anything wrong.
I bet this book is going to be great. Chris Whipple, he's a liberal as far as I can tell, but he's fair, and he's a great writer. He did a great behind-the-scenes book about the chiefs of staff of presidents from Ford through Trump.
Oh, cool.
So this kind of conversation is right in his wheelhouse. This is going to be good.
So that evening, Biden met again with Klain and his team. Biden aides Mike Donilon, Steve Ricchetti, and Bruce Reed. We sat around the table and had answers on cards that we gave him. And he was just extremely exhausted, and I was struck by how out of touch with American politics he was. He was just very, very focused on his interactions with NATO leaders. Klain said he wondered half seriously if Biden thought he was president of NATO instead of the U.S. He just became very enraptured with being the head of NATO. That wouldn't help him on Capitol Hill because, as Klain noted, domestic political leaders don't really care what Macron and Olaf Scholz think. That's for sure. While Klain came clean to Whipple, he argued the exact opposite last summer while other Democrats were calling on Biden to get out of the race. If you remember correctly, after liberal columnist Jonathan Chait published an article making the case for Biden to be ditched, Klain was pissed off at him, and he said, I think the best way to put out the fire is having someone who has successfully defeated the threat previously. And he dismissed the pundits who always bet on verbally gifted opponents.
Wow.
After Biden did eventually drop out of the race, Klain said this: now that the donors and electeds have pushed out the only candidate who has ever beaten Trump, it's time to end the political fantasy games and unite behind the only veteran of a campaign, our outstanding Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's get real and win in November. So he knew full good and well that Biden was not capable of becoming president of the United States. He didn't care. He didn't care. None of them care about America to the extent where they're willing to speak out and be truthful when the time demands it. I mean, you've got a guy who you see is mentally challenged. He's got diminished faculties. And you're saying that he should be the president of the United States for the next 4 years? I mean, that's treason. That's incredible. And they'll never pay a price for it, of course. But it is truly despicable that all of this was going on. Unreal. 888-900-3393. All right, I got some really delicious news for you. At Kexi Cookies, our cookie of the month is carrot cake this month. It's made with real shredded carrots, warm cinnamon, just a hint of nutmeg, and creamy white chocolate baking chips. It's this soft and spiced treat is almost like eating your vegetables. It's almost good for you and incredibly delicious. And just in time for Easter, we're also dropping the limited edition Easter cookie box. So these sell out usually in a matter of hours. So if you'd like to get the Easter box, really, really good. Comes with the orange chocolate brownie. It's a rich, fudgy brownie with a burst of citrusy orange, packed with melty chocolate chips, drizzled in luscious chocolate, and it's topped with a vibrant orange candy. So once these are gone, they're gone. I love that expression because what's the alternative there? Once they're gone, they're still here? That doesn't make any sense. Once they're gone for good, though. We can't get them back. So go to Kexi.com, get yours today before they sell out. This is a great little treat to give to anybody in your life on Easter instead of the usual rabbit eggs that you give or whatever it is. These taste a lot better than eggs. I promise you that. Kexi.com, Keksi, Kexi.com.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
All right. What is the Mike Benz clip?
Well, I mean, as long as we're talking about how terrible Joe Biden was as president and the chaos behind the scenes, Mike Benz has just been so good at digging into USAID and revealing.
And saying that everything's okay there?
Everything's fine.
Yeah, and we're killing children all over the world by cutting off their funds.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So this clip made it to me yesterday. He was on a podcast recently. Yet another Biden family scam uncovered by Mike Benz. These people suck.
So then the third one was Hunter Biden actually owns 10% of a company called ePlata, which is a micro financing loan company for illegal immigrants coming up through the southern border. And so, at the same time, the Biden administration Justice Department put out a notice telling the banks that the Justice Department would take legal action against any bank who refused loans to illegal immigrants. Meanwhile, the first son has an equity investment in a company that profits off those very loans.
Gosh. And then you wonder why they allowed 10 to 12 million people to illegally cross the border.
I mean, that is...
Whole family should be in jail.
Oh.
Whole family.
100%. Anybody associated with that family.
Holy cow.
Has a stink on them.
And we're 3 months down the road from his administration, and all of this stuff is just pouring out about it. What's it going to be like in a year from now, or 5 years, or 10 years? History's going to look back on this time and say, What was wrong with you people? How did you allow this to go on for 4 years?
We tried.
Yeah.
God knows we
did.
tried.
Yeah, we really did.
But you're right. Not only did the Biden administration leave the border wide open, but then, as Benz was saying there, reminding us that the Biden administration told banks you absolutely have to give loans to illegal immigrants.
Right.
And
right.
who's making money off of it but Hunter Biden himself?
It's incredible. And through Hunter, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the big guy got his 10% or whatever cut he was promised or demanded. Pretty amazing.
I mean, so great. All this stuff is coming out. Why aren't these people? Are we going to put them in prison?
Yeah, we should. They should be on
Seriously.
trial. Well, he pardoned them all, so it's going to be tough. But
find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Find a way.
If you can find a way to a third term,
you know what?
You can certainly find a way to prosecute this corrupt family.
Here's what you do. You just pull him. Somebody just tail Hunter Biden. And then when he goes a mile over the speed limit, you throw the book at him. I don't care. Find a judge.
It's like getting Al Capone on tax evasion.
I know.
But at least it worked. He wound up in jail. It finally got him.
But this family, can we...
It's insane.
How about the IRS?
Yeah.
How about you go and look at all of these families' bank accounts?
Yes. Well,
I mean, are they paying taxes on all of this ill-gotten booty?
Put those 87,000 extra employees to work that Biden gave the IRS. What are those people doing? Of course, they've probably been fired by now, but there are means to hold them accountable, but they'll never be held accountable.
That's the thing.
They'll never be held accountable.
It's going to continue. Even if it's a 4-year salve on the wound of the nation, if there aren't repercussions legally for these people that have done this to our nation,
they just keep doing it.
Then they'll just a new batch will come along.
Yep. No question about that. All right, 888-900-3393. We'll get into more of this, and the immigration front just continues. It's the gift that keeps on giving. We'll talk about that. This pro-Palestinian student again, whose visa was revoked over his participation in all of those demonstrations. We'll get into that and a lot more coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter, and of course the all-important Threads.
Thank you. So
everybody is so addicted to, and that's all you hear about. All you hear about is talk of Threads. We were talking about immigration and what's going on there. Plus, all the things that Democrats knew about during Biden. We suspected that the whole time, but it's amazing to be getting the confirmation we are right now. But on the front of, they're all upset over people being deported. We got this Cornell student whose visa was revoked over his participation in pro-Palestinian campus demonstrations.
Good.
How dare you deport? So what about freedom of speech? He's left the United States voluntarily.
Yeah!
After a judge declined to immediately block the government from taking steps to deport him. His name is Momadou Taal, and he's a doctoral candidate in Africana studies. Okay, those have got to be.
That's a problem in of itself.
If you're coming here for that, no, we don't want you here. Because you're a disruptor and a radical when you're coming clear to the United States for that, and you already live there. I don't know. There's an issue there. So he had his student visa revoked because of his involvement in disruptive protests and for disregarding university policies and creating a hostile environment for Jewish students. Boy, they absolutely did that. But Taal said, I've lost faith I could walk the streets of America without being abducted.
I'm glad. Hey, look, if you're If you're that guy,
yeah,
I want you looking over your shoulder.
You better believe it. Weighing up these options, I took the decision to leave on my own terms. Good! Good riddance.
Yeah.
Why would we? Good!
Save us the time, the trouble, the money.
Right.
Let's just confirm that he did leave, though.
Right. That's true.
And we also had in Texas, yesterday we had an early morning operation just outside of Austin. We nabbed 40 individuals.
Holy cow.
That the feds say are part of Tren de Aragua.
Oh, do they have tattoos? Is that the deal?
I bet they do.
I bet they do,
I'm guessing they do. So you get 40 Venezuelan gang members off the streets. That's a win.
No question about it.
And another MS-13 gang leader arrested in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Really? Okay, so is this like the Maryland guy? Is he married to an American citizen?
Which, by the way, that doesn't help you if you're here illegally.
Right.
That doesn't absolve you of your past sins of crossing illegally.
And there was a lot on this guy. They make it out in all the articles like he's just an innocent person living here and enjoying the freedom and comforts of America, and he's doing his civic duty, and they even kind of lead you to believe that he's an actual citizen here. And that's not the case. Gang member, gangbanger, and radical, it looks like. But you won't find that in the articles about him.
Same issue with Joe Escobar, who went by Momia, was nabbed by FBI, and he was allegedly played a role on 11 murders across Nevada and California.
Oh, jeez.
That's the guy.
Good gosh.
Got arrested yesterday out there.
And that was MS-13 guy?
MS-13 leader of the Parkview clique. Click, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah, I do want to call it click because
MS-13
that's what it is.
In Las Vegas.
Yeah, okay. All right. So the Las Vegas branch of MS-13.
The Las Vegas branch.
Yeah,
yes,
that's a popular one. Uh-huh. MS-13 has opened up branches all over the country to make it really convenient for you to be a member. And membership has its privileges. If you're looking for a really good gang to be involved in, I don't know if you could do better than MS-13.
Can't.
What a world. And they're pissed off about it. That these wonderful people are being deported. How dare we? What have we come to? What a fascist. Jeez. All right. So here was, if you want some good stuff in your diet today, Charlie Kirk talking about America's founding.
Wow.
Check this out.
Good.
Our country was founded on common law because the Declaration only refers to God 4 times in the Constitution. It doesn't refer to God at all. And it only articulates the structure of government.
So first of all, remember that we were a collection of states and colonies, and you need to read the state constitutions before anything else. 9 out of 13 of the original states required you to be a Bible-believing Christian to serve in government at the time of the founding. All 13 out of 13 required a declaration of faith. 9 out of 13 required you to be a Protestant, except Maryland, which was Catholic, which still required a declaration of faith. Almost every single one of the original state constitutions, Pennsylvania included, they had, I profess Lord and Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior in the original state constitutions. You remember, we're a collection of states before that. Secondly, 55 out of 56 of the original signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. So common law is inherited from Blackstone, who was Christian. Common law is an outgrowth of the scriptures. So let's go to 3 principles of common law: presumption of innocence, due process, injury of your peers. All 3 are biblical principles, wrapped into the ultimate biblical principle that you shall not favor justice if you are rich or poor, which is in Leviticus 19, right before the most famous part of Leviticus 19, which is that you should love your neighbor as yourself. But before that is that in the administration of justice, you shall not favor the rich or the poor, which is the idea of blind justice. We get that in the West, which is incorporated also in the New Testament ideal. Neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, you're all one in Jesus Christ, which we get the idea of human equality. These are all biblical ideas. They're not Enlightenment ideas, which is they kind of get conflated at the time. But more importantly than that, they say that God was only mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Well, that's a big deal, okay? Laws of nature and nature's God. The last paragraph of the Declaration reads as a prayer. It says, we appeal to the supreme judge of the universe. Who's the judge of the universe? Jesus Christ, as it says in Revelation, that Jesus will judge the earth on his throne. So in the Declaration, they were praying to Christ our Lord as a prayer very specifically. Thirdly, as I said on the stage yesterday, Deuteronomy was by far the most quoted book, religious or non-religious, in the time of the founding when they were putting together the Constitution. More than John Locke, more than Montesquieu, more than Blackstone. So the book of Deuteronomy, which talked about laws, customs, traditions, it was Moses' farewell address as he's about to say goodbye, say, hey, good luck in Canaan, guys. Here's how you should set up your form of government. But finally, and most importantly, let's look at actually what the founders said. John Adams famously said the Constitution was only written for a moral and religious people. It was wholly inadequate for the people of any other. The body politic of America was so Christian and was so Protestant that our form and structure of government was built for the people that believed in Christ our Lord. One of the reasons we're living through a constitutional crisis is that we no longer have a Christian nation, but we have a Christian form of government, and they're incompatible. So you cannot have liberty if you do not have a Christian population.
The only thing he left unsaid there was, put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Thank you.
For all you atheists and the people who don't think that the founders were Christians. 55 out of 56. And the common theme now that circulates is that people will admit they were deists. They believed in some form of a higher being, but they weren't Christians. They didn't believe in the divinity of Jesus. It's nonsense. Almost to a person, they were Christians. And they were not secretive about it either. And people will point to Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson wasn't a Christian. Really? Read his quote. Out of his own mouth, he says, I am a Christian in every way that he would want us to be. And that's completely devoted to his principles. It's a basic, I don't know if that's exact word for word, but it's pretty darn close.
So not a Christian.
He was a Christian.
So
they were not deists. I hate that because it just changes everything so slightly. Mm-hmm. And it's accomplishing the goal of the adversary to discount who the founders were.
That Charlie Kirk guy, he's pretty smart.
Yeah. That was pretty eloquent.
I'm just spitballing here, but he should maybe go on tour and just go speak at different places around the country saying stuff like that to educate Americans.
Really?
Wow,
you think? He does that.
You think?
Yeah, he
should
does
probably do that.
What do you mean? He does that?
Yeah, good. I'm glad he took my advice.
Okay.
Turning Point
That was fast.
USA. Yeah, Turning Point USA.
Huh. Jeez.
Fast. He really implemented that.
And he did. Keith, that was really good advice, apparently, that he took you up on.
And I believe he also has a podcast.
Really?
Is that right?
Podcast.
All right. Well, every living human does. Every living organism has a podcast. So that's not
like
unusual.
the amoeba from Pocatello.
Yes.
From rowdymaid.com.
Just like that. Let me tell you about Real Estate Agents I Trust, because when you're selling your home, man, it can be stressful. There's a whole bunch of decisions you have to make. All right, do we risk just selling it as is and not spend a dime to get out of here? Or do we need to do some remodeling? Do we need to replace countertops, for instance, repaint, remodel a bathroom? I mean, there's so many decisions, and you need a great realtor to help you make those decisions because these are the people who are with the buyers all the time. And Real Estate Agents I Trust, these are realtors that have been carefully vetted by Glenn's team. This is his company, of course, and they make sure that these are only the best in the business. If we couldn't find somebody we really counted on in a certain area, we just didn't have a realtor in that area. But there's, 1,500 to 2,000 of them spread across the country. There's some great realtors. They're fans of the show, and so you're going to have a lot in common. And it is a free service that we provide to you. We set you up with a realtor, and then you sell your home for the most amount of money. You buy a home that you get the most home for your money in a great neighborhood with a great school district and all the things that you're looking for. Real Estate Agents I Trust. The name says it all. RealEstateAgentsITrust.com.
Pat Gray Unleashed. Saying what you're thinking returns after this.
Couple of tweets for you. Gen X Kid tweets, removing illegals and sending them directly to prison in El Salvador might be the necessary incentive to lead other illegals to self-deport.
I mean, that's a fair point.
I think it is having that effect. Jimmy Dimples tweets, the MS-13 branch in Las Vegas is aptly named. Their luck is quickly running out.
Oh.
And from Nightwolf, so you got the Crips, the Bloods, and the Clique. Yes, thanks to
Chris
Cruz.
Nice job.
Not a clique, it's the Clique.
The Clique. Oh. He's vacated his post.
Did that upset him?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay, no.
No, I'm
You're
getting
all right.
you what you order, which was
I saw
Clorox
that.
wipes.
I saw that. It's like Amazon just, somebody just walked in here and dropped off a shipment for you there. Nice.
Okay.
But
that's what you get when you get a tattoo.
But you see, you missed us talking about your clique.
Oh, I heard that part.
You
Trust
did?
me.
Good.
I did hear that.
Good. Because it was a tribute to you.
Oh, such an honor.
Yeah. So the media, speaking of this immigration situation, is all pissed off about this, all deportations lately, but especially there was a couple that was ordered deported under the Clinton administration. So from like 25 to 30 years ago, they were supposed to be deported. Well, they finally were. And now the left is all pissed off. They'd been living in the United States illegally for 35 years. Finally deported back to their home country, but their daughter and leftist media outlets have characterized them as victims of an unjust system. Gladys and Nelson Gonzalez, who are now 55 and 59, respectively, entered the U.S. illegally in 1989. An ICE spokesperson told ABC, according to their daughter, Stephanie Gonzalez, who's 27 now, they were attempting to flee violence and persecution in their native Colombia. So they left Bogota because of the violence, and, it was a murder capital of the world at the time. I'm not sure that gives you... I don't know that you can claim being a refugee then. The asylum thing applies to political stuff, right? But there's this weird mindset in America that if you've been breaking our law for a really long time, 35 years in this case, somehow you now belong here?
Right.
What is that? Okay, well, they've been breaking the law for 35 years. How dare you deport them now? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and if you're going to make the claim that Colombia is too violent of a place, I mean, liberals can't have their cake and eat it too, as much as they try, but they talk about how violent the United States is and the gun laws, and oh my gosh, the gun violence is out of control here.
So we were just giving them refuge back in their home country.
Right.
That's all we were doing.
You guys say it's so violent here, we're sending them out.
Would Mexico have that viewpoint if it was an American living illegally in Mexico City? Hey, I've been here for 35 years. How dare you get pissed off now? I mean... why are we the only ones expected to uphold that weird principle? Very strange.
Yep.
We've got a great, we got this judicial overreach happening too, where a lot of the judges are jumping into the middle of this immigration deportation situation, and they're stopping it. They're trying to stop Trump's agenda here. So here's Senator John Kennedy, on the judicial overreach.
Senator, a universal injunction is what we call an order from a court enjoining the government in a way that goes beyond the parties to the case, but applies nationwide or in some cases universally to enjoin the government.
Is it sometimes referred to as a nationwide injunction?
Yes, it is, Senator.
What's the statutory basis for a federal judge issuing an order that affects people other than the parties before the court?
I'm not aware of a statutory basis, Senator.
Oh. There is no statutory basis.
Interesting. Wait,
no,
what?
Senator.
What's the United States Supreme Court opinion which interprets the Constitution in a way that allows a federal district court judge to do this? Can you name me that case?
Really good.
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
There isn't one, is there?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
Explain to me how this works. How can a federal judge issue an order that affects everybody else other than those in front of him or her? How is that possible?
It shouldn't be possible, Senator, but district courts do it all the time. I think on the theory that the courts need to enjoin a federal policy from going into effect, and they often will enjoin it as nationwide, so all non-parties are protected by that injunction.
I thought that if you wanted to affect parties who aren't in court, you had to file a class action.
That's correct, Senator.
So why don't the federal judges, instead of issuing a universal injunction with no legal basis, tell the plaintiff, look, you got to go file a class action if you want to impact parties who aren't subject to my court?
Senator, the Department of Justice makes that argument all the time in our briefs. I think in many cases, class actions would be inappropriate. They wouldn't, the plaintiffs couldn't satisfy Rule 23 to establish a class.
So they couldn't?
Correct.
So they prefer to ask for a universal injunction?
Yes.
Does this encourage forum shopping?
Yes, Senator. Not only does it encourage forum shopping, but also district shopping and filing multiple strategic lawsuits to find one judge that will enjoin a single policy nationwide. If you have 5 lawsuits, a plaintiff, only one of those 5 cases needs to be successful.
Okay, we've established that there's no basis in statute and no basis in Supreme Court precedent for universal injunction. How about a common law? I mean, universal injunction is basically an equitable remedy. Did this exist in common law courts in England on which our law is based?
I don't believe so, Senator. I think the government has cited cases from the Supreme Court that says, courts are really bound by the scope of relief that a court in equity would have granted back in England before the founding. And the courts at that time would grant relief to the parties in the case, not far beyond
A universal injunction as a remedy is unknown in English common law, is it not?
I haven't done the research that far back, but I'm not aware.
I have. It's unknown. Wasn't part of equity. Only about 27 universal injunctions were issued in the 20th century. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, Senator.
But 86 of them were issued against President Trump in his first term. Is that correct?
Oh, wow. I don't know the specific number, but they were a high number.
And so far in President Trump's second term, 30 universal injunctions have been issued against him. Have they not?
Wow. Senator, I don't have a specific number, but that sounds about right.
The universal injunction has become a weapon against the Trump administration, has it not?
Yes.
And tell me again in my last 10 seconds, tell me the basis for universal injunction in Article 3. I read Article 3, which defines judicial power. Where does it mention universal injunction?
It does not, Senator. It says courts are to decide the case or controversy before them, which is based on the parties to the case.
So the Congress could act and say, look, federal judges, you render a decision to a plaintiff or a defendant, but you can't impact people outside of your courtroom other than through a class action. That's why God created class actions, isn't it?
Yes, Senator.
You just eviscerated the entire effort of all of these judges and their overreach here with the Trump administration. Brilliantly done.
It sure would be nice if Mike Johnson and others in the Congress would pick up that ball and run with it.
Sure would. Because it's got to stop. They're making it out like Trump is breaking the law. It is these judges who are doing things that are not codified in law. Wow, that's amazing. That was nicely done.
Oh, yeah.
He's a pretty smart guy. Pretty smart guy. 888-900-3393. Department of Homeland Security announced it's going to update its U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services Policy Manual to recognize, get this, only 2 genders.
Whoa, easy.
What about the rest of them? What, they don't enjoy protection from the Department of Homeland Security?
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
The USCIS Policy Manual, which is described by the agency as a centralized online repository for immigration policies, said in a press release it's returning to its historical policy of recognizing 2 biological sexes. According to Tricia McLaughlin, who is the Assistant Secretary for Public Affairs at DHS, she said there are only 2 sexes. President Trump promised the American people a revolution of common sense, and that includes making sure that the policy of the U.S. government agrees with simple biological reality. I don't know why, but the line, so God created man in his own image, comes to mind. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. So that's male 1 and female 2. Yeah, 2. That's from Genesis 1:27.
Glad you did the math on that.
Yeah, see, 1 male and female would be 2. If you, yeah, okay. Did I carried the 1? Yeah, and it does turn out to be fairly accurate that there are 2.
Fairly accurate
genders. So, our immigration system, she said, is not a place to promote and coddle. DHS said it was remaining consistent with one of the president's first executive orders. The order stated that ideologues across the country have denied the biological reality of sex, that's for sure, through increased legal battles as well as social coercion. The goal is to stop men's access to single-sex spaces and activities designed for women. Thank you. This is a protection of and for women. This includes domestic abuse shelters, prisons, and even workplace showers, and hopefully bathrooms of all varieties, and sports, which they've also covered, by the way. But that continues to be defied by Maine and New York. Ithaca College just declared that they're going to have a man playing in women's sports, which is, it's so contrary to what the order is. Get ready to lose your federal funding then, Ithaca College. I don't know how much they receive, but it's got to go away. But they said that they're going to continue to allow the competition of this male in women's rowing, even despite the Title IX stuff and despite the Trump administration's order. So, yeah, good luck on that. Maybe the tuition that your students pay will cover everything you need. That's great. More coming up.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Tell you about something really important. It's Jay's case. Just part of your emergency preparedness plan. Really should be. Because who knows when the next emergency will occur. And, it'll be really handy to have medication with you when it does happen. You want food. You want what do they call it? An escape route. You want an escape route. You want an evacuation route is what you want. Meeting places with your family. A go bag or whatever you want to call it. Just something with flashlights and batteries and non-perishable food. But then the medication too, because if you get infections, what are you going to do when you can't get to a pharmacy, when you can't get to a doctor? This comes with 5 separate antibiotics, and you can also get things like ivermectin thrown in too. The add-ons are great. You can get your daily medications through Jay's Daily. This is just a great way to go. You just go online. It's really simple. Fill out a short form. They just want to make sure that you're not allergic to anything that you're going to be sent. And then it's on its way to you. So go to jace.com. You can enter their giveaway, and you can purchase your own case right there. Enter the promo code PAT at checkout to get a nice discount on your order. Promo code PAT at JASE, jace.com.
Pat Gray is Unleashed.
Yeah. Chris and I were just talking about medications we just tried to get at the pharmacy. Out of stock.
Yeah, I'll get it.
We
on
don't have
Friday.
it. Yeah, okay. We're waiting for the truck. You're waiting for the truck? I mean, is this Walgreens? What are you?
Oh, no.
What are you doing? How is this possible? But it happens all the
CVS
time
or
now.
Walgreens?
I go to Walgreens.
I'll go to CVS. So they both suck right now.
Yeah, they do. It happens over and over and over again. It used to be you'd go in there and they had anything you needed.
Medicine is there.
Right? It's there. But now, I don't know if it's supply chain. I don't know if just everybody's sick at once. I don't know what the deal is. But get yourself a Jay's case. Seriously. Just to add a little addendum to the commercial. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter. And, of course, the Threads thing, which I don't even have to mention because it's so darn popular.
Second nature.
Yeah.
Quite frankly.
Everybody's already there, no doubt.
What's your favorite thing to? Never mind.
Do we have to say that every time?
No, kill the bit. Kill the bit. I don't even want to. No, we'll just move on.
Daily routine.
Wasting time.
So, Steve Harvey, are you aware is he part of Dr. Phil's network?
Mary Street? Yeah, his show is carried by Mary Street.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. But he was asked a question on his show recently. We're not sure exactly what day this was. But it's about moving, right, to a European nation.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So here's what happened.
Hey, Steve. So for my fresh start, I want to move to Sweden. You know, I want to move to Sweden.
Oh, okay.
You know, the land of IKEA.
You want to make a fresh start there?
I do. I want to move to Sweden.
Cool.
I just want to pick up my boys, my husband, and get the heck out of here. My husband thinks I'm nuts, though, because we have IKEA here in America.
IKEA.
However, what we don't have here is free healthcare, free education, and Swedes live a very long life. Can you please help me convince my husband to get on board and move to Sweden, the land of IKEA?
Stupid.
Wait a minute. IKEA, the furniture store? You talking about the stuff where you got to put all the stuff together? Hell, that's why they probably got free health care over there. Because everybody done hurt themselves putting all them damn tables together. Are you serious? I want to encourage you to stay here in this country. Donald Trump is not going to be that bad. Don't run. He's going to make IKEA bring their ass over here and start building them desks and stuff in America because he's going to make America great again. Let's go, Donald Trump!
Wow.
Okay.
That's interesting. I love that.
Wow.
He doesn't normally say anything political.
No.
He does not.
I like it.
How about that? It's dangerous, though, because usually you're not going to like it when somebody you enjoy watching makes a political statement. But that was really good.
Bring their ass over here.
So good.
He's worth $200 million. He can afford that.
It's probably true.
Nice.
Yeah.
So $200 million just for that show?
No, that's what his worth is according to...
Oh, his worth. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's over time. That's not per year.
I got it. Okay, so what does he make?
Although syndicated hosts like that make a lot of money.
He does Family Feud. He does that.
Yeah. He's doing okay. I
think so.
Yeah. Huh. So
he makes $20,000 per episode.
What? No, he makes more than that. I bet. $20,000 an episode. Where'd you get that? Is that an AI
I got 50
stat?
grand. 50 grand on Family Feud per episode.
All right. Okay.
I don't know how many they shoot.
How many episodes a year?
Yeah.
Every day. So 5 days a week, I see a new episode.
Okay, so he makes $10 million a year off Family Feud.
There you go.
Makes a salary. Some thing says between 40 and 50 a year. I guess you take a show. I think you take a show plus Family Feud.
Okay.
And you get the 30-minute. Somewhere between 40 and 50, it looks like annual salary.
Good math.
Cool.
Yeah, really good math there. But he's right. Why would you... I'm going to free health care. So you want socialism. You want to go to a place that's a socialist country. You want to pay those taxes. Do you know how they do the free health care? You pay for it with your taxes. Pathetic.
Yeah. And
that's why everybody lives in an apartment over there.
It's also why they have out-of-control immigration from third-world countries, because you need the cheap labor to continue to afford the cradle-to-grave nanny state that they provide. Never mind the fact that, as Trump has made very clear, we are the ones that defend them through NATO, and the imbalance of how much we put into that.
And all the immigrants are drawn by the fact that they're going to get free health care. I wonder how quality that health care is going to be, for one thing. And free education. You're going to get free college, too. And the taxpayers in Sweden and all of those European countries, they get to pay for it. So congratulations. Yeah, that's a great idea. Jeez, if you're that stupid, go to Sweden. See ya. Don't let the door hit you on the butt on the way out. Have you been reading about this weird Virginia Giuffre situation? She's one of the main accusers of Jeffrey Epstein. She was the one pictured with Prince Andrew in that photo. I think they were on the island at the time, but she was one of the victims that everybody knows about. She posted this photograph of herself and a claim that she only had 4 days to live. Turns out that's not true. It turns out she says she got hit by a bus.
Right.
And then she had a photo of like really bad bruising all over the left side of her face. I don't know where that came from because cops were contacted. The authorities were contacted in the Australian city in which she lives. And it was a minor traffic accident. She claims she got hit by a bus going 110 kilometers per hour. Nobody knows how that. It could be 1,000 miles an hour. Could be 1 mile an hour. Nobody knows. There's no way to tell. Stop with the kilometers! I watch all those documentaries on space and stuff, and they always, you're an American! It's miles! We are not 150 million kilometers from the sun. We're 93 million miles. Stop it. But that's sort of a side issue. Anyway, the authorities say it was like a minor traffic accident. Nobody was hurt, and when they called police asked, "Is anybody seriously injured?" And the answer was apparently no. So I don't know what she was doing here.
Well, something about her kidney, right? She said she had 4 days to live because her kidney was injured.
Yes.
Here's the face.
Oh, yeah, look at the photo.
Here's a picture. And
I don't know. Nobody was supposedly badly injured in it, but she looks badly injured there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like fun at all.
No, it doesn't. But because she said she had 4 days to live, people started all this speculation online, all kinds of conspiracies. It was a CIA hit. It was an FBI hit.
Clinton hit.
Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein still alive, and he tried to kill her.
Oh, okay.
Was he driving the bus?
Ooh.
Well,
that was a pretty
one.
sloppy hit if you just left it alone like that. Yeah, they ran into her. It's fine. Leave it alone.
Let me just check the old Epstein file, see if we got some new information.
Yeah, on that page right there that you're looking at.
Oh, yeah, look, there it is.
Oh, dang it, redacted. Shoot.
Again, still waiting for the Epstein files to be released. I'm sure that'll be any
day now.
It's on her desk, bro. Chill.
It's still on her desk?
Still on her desk.
Okay.
Well,
it's on Pam Bondi's desk.
It's on mine, too.
It's on Keith's desk.
I guess we have the same information.
Yes,
we're still waiting.
That is true. We do have the same information. None. Yeah, and there have been so many other things that have happened in the meantime. We've kind of forgotten about it, but
it's almost like it's by design.
Is it 1 day yet into the Kash Patel administration at the FBI?
Oh no, not yet. That's today.
No. That's
day
today?
1 is today.
Okay.
Yeah. Day 1 is today.
All right. Oh no. I don't know. Come on.
And that's the danger, right?
Yeah.
If you're going to make a declaration, Glenn Beck,
yeah.
And you're going to reference someone else's, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Glenn's fault.
No.
He can't control.
He was told that.
Right, exactly.
By Kash Patel.
But if you're going to put yourself out there and you're quoting someone else, that's dangerous because now...
Yeah, you shouldn't have said it was going to be day 1. As soon as I'm installed as FBI director, that next work day, I'm going to release the files. Well, then it doesn't happen. And it doesn't happen for weeks. So why? If you can't, you don't make that bold declaration if you can't back it up.
And since you're not in a position to back it up as someone relaying that information from someone else,
you shouldn't do it.
Well, I'm just saying, just put you in a bad spot.
Yes, it does.
But like
depending
we just said,
on someone,
day 1 is today.
Depending on someone else to carry through.
Day 1 is today, so maybe it'll happen today.
So give him.
Do we know what time? Like 10?
Well, they go
11?
in like at 9 a.m. Eastern. So
look, close of business is 5 p.m. Eastern, Pat.
Okay, 5 p.m. We should have it for you tomorrow on the show. We'll have the whole file for you. Yeah.
What do you think's going on with that?
I don't know.
It's almost like someone placed a phone call.
Isn't it, though? Yeah.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Yep.
Pulling out all the props today.
The Rothschild family called.
Whoa, okay, we're getting there.
Rothschilds are on the phone.
We're getting there.
And the Cadburys are online, too. So you got the Rothschilds, you got the Cadburys. They all want to talk to you. about the
Roosevelt's there too, or no?
No, they're not there yet.
Oh, look at that. I got a call from country code 972.
Oh.
Don't release the files? Oh, okay. Cool.
All right.
Done.
I don't know. We just got too excited about it.
Sure did.
Because everything else we were promised was pretty much happening up until
we're starting
the whole file
starting
situation.
to get into the mud here in the last couple of weeks.
Things are a little bit murkier now. So
I know you guys like the Epstein files, but I want those UFO files.
I do too. I want that too.
I really want that, especially now that we got all the polar pictures, so we are round. Okay. We're not flat. Start releasing.
When did we play that? Was that on the regular show yesterday?
That was on the regular show.
Yeah, it was. It was. The polar pictures were impressive, weren't they?
I'm convinced. I'm convinced the Earth is round.
I really hate you guys.
Based on the evidence that was
more do you want?
presented to us yesterday.
And you weren't before,
Chris
but
Cruz.
There it is. Look at
that.
that.
That put me over the top.
Well, we've had that up there for a while.
By the way, I did reach out to our coworker, the Flat Earther.
Yes, about the Flat Earth, yes.
Yeah. And?
We're not going to be having him on the show anytime soon.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Was he mad?
No.
Oh, okay.
He's just not as convinced as he once was.
Oh, he's not convinced now. Really?
Well, he's
good.
Hold on. I don't want to put words in his mouth. He hasn't been studying it for a while.
Was it because of the
That's
polar
what he
pictures? Because I knew that was going to stump everybody.
He said there's definitely some interesting points. It's pretty compelling.
You think?
Still don't know if I really believe it. It's been a while since.
I really want to know how you believe it.
He's
when we have photos and videos.
Oh, he makes an excellent point. I don't know that I want to be on the internet forever giving a flat Earth presentation.
So he's not entirely confident in his assessment. Okay.
Those polar pictures, bro, shook everything up.
That's what it was. That's
great.
That's what it was.
Well, he's in good company. There's a lot of people that believe it. I mean, I think the latest I saw on Flat Earth was about 10% of Americans believe it, that the Earth is flat. I don't think that was the case at Columbus's time.
That's awesome.
Come on.
Awesome.
Really? All right. So let me tell you about a new movie coming from Angel Studios, the studio behind King of Kings. This is the one who also did Sound of Freedom. This is about a father who tells his son the greatest story ever told. And what begins as a bedtime tale becomes a life-changing journey. Through vivid imagination, the boy walks alongside Jesus, witnessing his miracles, facing his trials, and understanding his ultimate sacrifice. The King of Kings invites us to rediscover the enduring power of hope, love, and redemption through the eyes of a child. This movie has a high-profile cast of voices because it's animated, and it includes Oscar Isaac, Pierce Brosnan, Mark Hamill, Kenneth Branagh, Ben Kingsley, Uma Thurman, Forrest Whitaker. It's an all-star cast, to name just a few. There's also really beautiful animation, and it's the perfect film to enjoy with your whole family this Easter. So I highly recommend that you get out and see it. Go see The King of Kings. It's in theaters starting Friday, April 11th. So that's a week from tomorrow. Get your tickets today, though, at angel.com/unleashed. That's angel.com, ANGEL, angel.com/unleashed, and get your tickets today.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
So Val Kilmer, we talked about his death yesterday.
Yeah, this was weird.
He died just hours before he was scheduled to attend a film festival?
Yeah, they were expecting him to be at the film festival, and they were coordinating with the publicist, his arrival time, and next thing you know, he dies of pneumonia.
Jeez. Really sad.
But also read that he was in bed most of his life because he was not mobile.
Oh, you mean recently?
Yes.
Okay. Not most of his, I mean, he was 65. So most
after
of
the
those
cancer,
years were in bed?
Yes.
Okay.
After the cancer, it was really interesting. Very weird stuff happening with him and his health.
He had throat cancer. What else did he have? You know? You don't know.
I mean, pneumonia, obviously.
Yes, obviously pneumonia at the end.
But that's just so weird that he was at least in good enough health.
Yeah. To go to a film festival.
And he had been posting quite a bit on Instagram lately, I read, including, talking about he was with the Batman mask that he was in, going over paintings of his. It's very strange.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not suggesting anything nefarious here at all. It's just how quickly that happened to him.
So you're not thinking it was a CIA hit or an FBI hit?
He had information.
Was there a bus involved?
Clinton hit.
Okay, Clinton. Mm-hmm.
But according to
Jeffrey Epstein, he's still alive.
Oh, hold on. Let me see here. What do we got here?
According
to is it?
No,
it's hard to read. It's hard to read with all the marker over it.
It's
really hard
in
to
there
read.
somewhere. The information that he had on somebody.
The Kilmer family said that the last 4 years he's been bedbound, no energy.
Dang.
Couldn't fight. At the end, his body eventually shut down.
God.
That's too bad. All right. Apparently, Elon Musk is going to leave his DOGE position sooner than we think. Now, these special government employees can only serve 130 days. Now, we knew that from the start. They're making this out like, okay, there's a rift now. Okay, you're getting to him with these protests. Okay, it's working. No. As John Fetterman said, no. This has been planned from the beginning. And so, plus, he's got businesses to run. Anybody notice that, he's not retired? He's got some stuff to do. But the Department of Government Efficiency's Lodestar and President Trump's right-hand man is expected to step back from the administration at the end of next month, according to two sources close to the White House.
End of May?
Yes.
I'm over here doing the math, which is always a scary proposition. But right before you said that, I said, oh, then he's got to about May 30th if it's 130 days.
Ta-da! It just works out that way, doesn't it?
Funny how that happened.
Isn't that weird how that works out?
So the protests are working. That's what
I'm hearing. Is that what you're hearing?
I'm hearing that the protests
That's what
are
America
working.
heard.
Yeah.
The protests are working. We should be out there this weekend again. Well, if we're paid, if the check comes from the DNC.
The check has to come through.
Check has to come. And it's got to clear. It doesn't have to just get here. It needs to clear.
That's how patriotic I am.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely going to take credit for it. The left will. Absolutely.
They will.
They will say.
For sure they will.
Even if he's there till May 30th.
You know what's a coincidence is the very same pre-made signs that I saw in South Lake, Texas.
Okay.
They also had in Los Angeles, California, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Everybody thought of the same exact sign written in the same exact way. Plus, the chants were all coordinated. I mean, not coordinated. They all came up with them organically, of course.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Just so happened they were all the same.
Grassroots.
I mean, certain fonts are more popular than others.
Right, that's
so that
true.
explains the signs.
Yes.
Certain songs are more catchy than others. So that explains the songs.
And they all felt exactly the same about what Elon is doing.
Right.
Okay.
And they're winning. He leaves on May 30th.
They're winning.
So
they won. It's over.
That's what we call grassroots.
That's exactly what we call it, because that's exactly what it is.
Exactly what it is.
Also, San Francisco is rethinking their drug paraphernalia policy. Plastic straws are banned in San Francisco, at least if you want to drink a soda or lemonade. But for those who smoke fentanyl, they've been able to get them for free at taxpayer expense. There was also a time 5 years ago when the city helped pay for a billboard that showed smiling, glittery partygoers. Do it with friends, the message said, urging drug users to consume with others so that if anybody had an overdose, why, they've got friends there to take them to the hospital in time.
You got to plan ahead.
You do.
You do have to plan.
Yeah, and you want to advertise that on billboards all over San Francisco. Unreal.
I mean, this is idiocracy, quite frankly.
if it saves one life, Pat Gray.
Right, that's true. Yeah, if it saves one life, it's worth it. It's been a city where those using drugs had easy access to their substance of choice and a government generally willing to tolerate the addiction. City leaders emphasized a harm reduction approach, believing that more lives would be saved by helping others to consume safely than by punishing them. But Daniel Lurie, the moderate Democrat who became the city's new mayor in January, said this week that things had gone too far. No, is that even possible in San Francisco? Told the New York Times he would announce a new policy that walks back the free distribution of clean foil, pipes, and plastic straws on the streets of San Francisco. The supplies were typically used to smoke fentanyl or methamphetamines, and the city spent hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on them. And now he might roll back that policy. You hater. So it hasn't saved lives? If you're partying together, that's not, interesting. Wow.
They're all glittered up, I heard. Which, by the way, is a problem in of itself. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is.
What are you doing with the glitter? You never get rid of it.
It can never go away. It's like eternal.
It never goes away.
Yeah.
What's the comedian who said it's a herpes of the craft world? That's a fact.
It's a great line.
That's a good line.
It really is. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. And, of course, later on today on Overtime.
I heard it on the news, and I said it was ridiculous, man. That's it.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.